Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, how are ya? Come on, I can't hear ya. How are ya? Woohoo! I'm Dolly Duffy, and I have the great privilege of being the executive director of your Alumni Association. Thanks for coming out for Football Fridays at the EC. We have two really amazing guests for you today. For catching up with, please welcome from the incredible Notre Dame fencing team head coach, I'm going to see if I can get it right, Kvaratskhelia.
Notre Dame education right there.
And then he's joined by team captain and three-time All-American Sabrina, help me with it.
Masialis.
It's a great name. So we're thrilled. Gia, you grew up in the Soviet Republic of Georgia. How'd you get involved in fencing?
Rejected from different sports. And truly, sport was only for the most fittest and athletic people, and I was not one of them. So after soccer, basketball, and the swimming, fencing opened up, and I was good enough probably. And I stuck there for a long time. They couldn't kick me out and end up on the long journey to here at Notre Dame.
So Sabrina, you have quite a pedigree. Your father was a three-time Olympian, right? Your brother completed in the 2012 Olympics?
And 2016.
And 2016. So you didn't really have any choice, right? How did you get involved?
Well, my dad started a club when we were just little kids, and I saw my brother start. And so naturally, I just wanted to do it. He didn't have to force me. I just wanted to do whatever my family was doing. So I just went into it.
How old were you when you started?
I wanted to fence ever since I can remember. I was asking my dad if I could start at 3 years old, and he was like, push it back a little bit. And then finally, when I was 6, I asked for my birthday if I could start fencing. And he finally let me doing some basic footwork and stuff. So I really started at 7.
Well, given the stories that Gia told me earlier, I'm amazed that you prevailed him telling you no at age 3. We're gonna explore a little bit of her unbelievably determined side in a little while. But you had a very decorated youth career. Now, you won gold at the 2014 Youth Olympics in China. Very few of us, I don't know, I'm looking around here, maybe there's someone will ever be able to say we were absolutely the best in the world at something. What did that feel like?
It was just such an honor to compete for my country at such a prestigious competition and such a great lead up to the real Olympics too. It was just a really great honor.
And Sabrina is also individual and team world champion as well. So.
Wow, how about that? Let's hear it for Sabrina, individual and world. But Gia, you're being self-deprecating. Right? You had quite a fencing career. It wasn't just that they couldn't get rid of you. They didn't want to get rid of you. You were on the Georgian national team. Tell us about that.
Well, I thought I was a good fencer before I came to Notre Dame and started recruiting the fencers I admire now. Sabrina will be one of them. But the selection process was pretty rigorous in the Soviet system. If you made it there, you were definitely okay with that.
And so you finished 11th in the 92 European Championships. Is my sleuth work correct?
Yes, that was one of the few competitions in 1991. Is that right?
I think that's right.
And then the country ceased existing, so the fencing was secondary because the Civil War started and the unrest and the economy collapsed. So that was kind of end of my fencing career right there. It's age 21, I was done with fencing.
Well, you're far from done with fencing. Look what you've done.
As a competitor.
2-time national champion coach. So then you came to America, and I love, because I had my own little background spending some time, 18 years in Kansas. You also were in Kansas City, and then you went out on your own in Salina and had a fencing club. Is that right?
I took the challenge. I lived in Kansas City for a couple of years, and I had a few opportunities going to East Coast, going to West Coast, or going to Wizards of Oz, is that right? The place. A small town called Salina, and to be able to start something my own from nothing and really prove if I could, do something about it. And that's led me all the way to Notre Dame.
Well, you transformed that little club in Kansas to one of the top foil centers in the clubs in the entire country. Isn't that right? You're not going to say yes.
I wouldn't say it was top,
He
but
did.
pretty competitive.
He did.
So good enough to get a job here.
So, Sabrina, back to you. You had probably, I can't imagine how many people wanted you to come to their program. You chose Notre Dame. Why?
Well, I was only considering the best fencing programs in the country, and I was considering like 5 different schools. I didn't really know anything about them. I kind of knew Gia growing up just because he was always around and always such a friendly face. And I just decided to visit all the schools and see which one I liked the most, and I just really resonated the most with Notre Dame. It felt like such a community and family feel that made me feel really at home. And so after I visited, I pretty much just chose to come here.
And her visit was during the Michigan game when we shut Michigan out 37-0. So that really helped.
That always helps. I'm sure that there are other fencers and other sports of people that will be here at this game, and they will watch the game tomorrow when we absolutely annihilate Stanford, and they'll be future athletes as well.
Right after
Definitely.
I decided to come to Notre Dame, it was the Notre Dame and Stanford game, and Notre Dame won. So I saw that as a kind of validation for coming here, and so now it's like full circle.
Full circle. Let's hope you continue to be good luck. Gia, you were the assistant coach for 8 years before you became head coach. You and you're kind of a fencing rock star. As Sabrina said, she always knew of you growing up. You probably had a lot of offers to be a head coach somewhere else. What kept you here at Notre Dame?
To be honest with you, when I came from Kansas here for a job interview, that was my defining moment. So I said I could stay here forever. And this is not just me talking, this is what I really feel. I would never go anywhere else. And I never actually applied or looked anywhere else while being assistant coach, because I think this is the place to be a fencing coach and to be a coach or the teacher, the educator. This is the best in the world.
So before we talk about the team's incredible success, if I remember right, I remember that at one point Lou Holt saw fencing for the first time when Mike DeCicco was the athletic director, I believe. Anyway, he went with Mike DeCicco, and at the end, he said, I want to tell you I'm never coming back to watch fencing again until you start using real weapons so I know who won. And so tell us the difference in the weapons. And they're not really poking each other with them, are they? Either of you.
Sabrina's going to describe the difference between the weapons, but fencing is called physical chess, intellectual conversation with épées or sabers. It is incredibly emotionally charged. It is close to as chess as you can get because you can calculate 3 to 4 moves ahead, and physically daunting. So all these components make fencing one of the hardest sports in the world. Now, the fencing tip, called the foil tip of the weapon, is the second fastest moving object in the sport. But it's also reaction time has to be absolutely amazing for the athletes. So if you have a couple, hour or so, we are located in Joyce Center, Gate 4. Come over, take a look, and you'll be amazed at how great the sport is.
So tell us about the weapons, Sabrina.
So there's 3 different types of weapons. There's foil, épée, and saber. Basically, the way they came about is foil is, I guess you could say, the most primitive of weapons. So back in the day when you were dueling to the death, If you like hit someone's arm or something, they can still fight you. So to actually kill someone, you have to like hit in their core area. So in foil, you're only allowed to hit, and like we wear these metal vests, you're only allowed to hit in this like core area. And we have rules of like right of way that give people the touch depending on what action they have. But then eventually too many royal people started dying. So they made it till first blood. So that's what epee is based on. You can hit on any part of the body. There are no rules of right of way. Whoever hits gets the point. And then saber originated on horses where people would fight each other, and it's the only weapon where you don't have to hit with the tip of the blade. You can hit with the side, and that's because it's easier when you're on the horse to like go like this, hit people, to slash people. And you can hit anywhere from the torso up because you wouldn't want to hit the horse because you would want to like take the horse over from them. But yeah, so those are the different weapons.
That's a great description and great history lesson there. So I have to admit, my husband Dan, who's out here, is a fencer, and sometimes when my kids and I go watch him fence, as we did recently, he finished and we said, "Oh, we're really sorry." And he said, "For what?" And I said, "That you lost." And he said, "No, I won." It's so hard, and I couldn't see the light. So tell us how it's hard to sometimes know who got the point. How does that work?
So it's kind of confusing to people who don't really know the sport that well, but we basically have the tip is like connected with wires into our weapon, and then we wear like a body cord that goes down over to a reel, basically a bunch of wires that connect to a box that has different lights that show whether you scored on target or off target. And looking at that box, and then also with a referee who will use the rules of right of way or just see the box to know who hit and who got the touch.
Okay, so when you watch, and we're going to show a video here in a few minutes, there's an individual component and there's a team component. And in the individual component, sometimes you have to fence each other. Is that right? In competition.
Yes.
And so tell us, how does that all work?
Just fencing each other in a competition. Well, obviously we're all teammates, and we never like to compete against each other, but we just know it's part of the competition. So
Watching the camaraderie among all of you is just so beautiful. The team together. So I imagine that would be really hard at times.
it's definitely the hardest matches are with your teammates, but we all love each other. After the bout, we're hugging each other. We just have so much love for each other. It doesn't hinder when we're competing with each other. It doesn't hinder our relationships.
That's great. So, Gia, this is a program with an unbelievably rich history. And in no time, you had back-to-back national champions. What kind of expectations, and this might be a great chance for you to tell the story that you told me earlier about Sabrina, but what kind of expectations do you set for them, and then what kind do they set for themselves?
It's evolution. In every single year, as a coach, you approach the preparation of the team differently. What we learned in our space and among our coaches, we don't do the expectation about the NCAA. We don't think about tomorrow. Our goal is to win today, to beat the day, beat the practice, do our best every single moment we are on the floor, and then we move on. So if you come to us, we don't have a fiery speeches about repeating or defending. No, it's life as usual. We don't have any slogans, except what we did last year was humble and hungry, because we didn't want to settle for the winning just once. The back of our minds, it's always to do have a great results, and our kids are really smart. They go to Notre Dame. They know what's expected of them. For us to reiterate it every single time, that we have to repeat or we have to do it again, it's put a lot more pressure on them. So we learned, if we do our best right now, and it happens every single day, it's going to be good enough to be successful in the future.
Like that. So first national championship in 2017, and then another in 2018. I won't ask you anything about a three-peat. I'll think about it, though, a lot. But we want to show a little video here on the challenge of going back-to-back championships.
I think as soon as we got back, and got off the bus after winning, we reset the clock to this year's tournament.
I think we really want to focus on being humble but hungry. We shifted our focus mostly to improving ourselves and just wanting to be better.
We're pretty gritty. We like to get out there and work, and even though we'd accomplished our dream and won it all, we wanted to do it again.
Our team will do anything for each other, and we took it day by day, which is exactly how we did it last year.
We were here to win, and we knew what our goals were, so that target on our back wasn't such a big deal. It's an individual sport, but we all come here and we become one team with one heartbeat. That's our mantra, that's our motto, that's our, what we pride ourselves on. And, even though everyone's from different places and comes from different backgrounds, we all come here with one goal. And, our goal is to win national championships, and our goal is to do it as a team. So I think that's what makes us unique.
All those teammates cheering for me felt great. The most important thing for me is to just stay focused on my bout, and I know what I have to do in this bout, and that's the only thing that I'm thinking about during the bout. Everything else is just in the background.
I'd say number one's a testament to the strength that we have and how hard we work and the work that we put in. And at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing to have, but it's one that, it's something that we're not going to pay too much attention to, because as lovely as it is to light it up, we'd rather just keep it lit and never turn it off. So we're going to keep working as hard as we can and keep that thing lit as long as possible. And I think that would be a testament to what this team is really about.
As lovely as it is to light it up, we'd rather just keep it lit. What a great line. So Sabrina, humble and hungry. Yes. Tell us about that. How does that drive you? When you say that, what do you think about?
Really, I think we just think about getting better every day, as Gia said. We're tackling every day as it is. We just want to get better and better. We just put our heads down and do the work. We're not thinking about a big championship or anything. We just want to better ourselves and be the best that we can be. And really, that's what humble and hungry means. Yeah.
It's a reflection of the attitude of the university and the surroundings here. We try to be a reflection of that. And no matter how hard our athletes fight to win the individual honors, their most important goal is to make this place proud. And that's what the humble and hungry come from.
The fencing team is really thought of in unbelievably high esteem. And I'm always pleased and thrilled when I'm on the road and somebody will be asking about maybe women's basketball, maybe football. And even those coaches say, don't forget about fencing. Do you feel that?
Sometimes. I think we go around, people are really exciting when they hear about the fencers. We're maybe not the most high-profile sport, but people still do appreciate the work that we do.
Yeah, they actually love you more than you realize. Gia, so talk about humble and hungry and this determination that Sabrina has. Tell us the story about when she fenced in the national championship.
Without a doubt, Sabrina is one of the few people will be always remembered by me as the heroes. She was having two incredibly serious injuries prior to NCAA. So on both legs, on the left foot, she had to be operated on, and the right hip, she had to be operated on, and she opted out to compete at NCAA championships. despite of talking as a coaches to her and restricting her to do that, calling the parents, bringing the counsels of the doctors, and she said, nope, I'm not backing down. I'm going to compete for this team. We had to tape the shoe from outside to immobilized. And despite that, and couldn't lunge. And lunge is the action in fencing when 70% of the touches are scored with. Couldn't lunge, couldn't retreat, and she was a runner-up in individual competition and inspiration to all our athletes to compete on the highest level. That's Sabrina to you.
It's a great story. So it's no wonder you're a team captain. You're a natural leader. What does it mean to you to be a team captain of a national championship team at Notre Dame? Twice, 2 times. That's right. 2 times you've been team captain.
Well, it's just such an honor and so special. Really, the team is what makes it so special and so easy. When you have a great team, it's easy to lead. Yeah.
That's great. So we're going to have time for a few questions out there, and we'll have microphones, I believe, that will move around the crowd if you have any questions. Because I would just, this is so much fun. I'd sit here all day long and talk. Here. Got one right over here.
I just have 2 questions. One, how is the United States Olympic team chosen in fencing? And number 2, how many Olympic caliber fencers are there in the United States?
So the upcoming Olympics, Summer Olympics, is 2020. The year leading up to that, so 2019 and 2020, there's a series of competitions, international and national. And basically, each competition, depending how high you place, you get a certain number of points. And at the end of the season, in April, basically, of 2020, at the end of that, the top 4, whoever has the most points, gets to be on the Olympic team. And about 12 people get to travel to those international competitions. So you could say that 12 people in each weapon are like Olympic caliber. They're able to compete at those really Olympic level competitions. Yeah.
So I'm just going to piggyback on Sabrina's conversation. Notre Dame had the last 3 Olympics in Beijing, London, and Rio. We had the most representatives in any other college in the United States. First United States Olympic champion and repeated champion came from Notre Dame, who was a flag bearer for U.S. national team in London Olympics. So besides we have a very, besides United States team, we have a very rich history of Olympians here. Sabrina could be the possible Olympian in Tokyo, so we're going to wish her luck for that.
So you can say, well, we knew her when. Do we have another question? This young lady right here, I think, had her hand up. No? Okay.
I have, here's a couple questions over here.
Coach, I kind of have a general question. If somebody's not good enough to fence epee, do you advise them to drop down the saber or the foil?
I think there's an inside
It's
story
an inside
here.
joke, yeah. We'll deal with that later, Tom. All the weapons are very challenging. It's to its own extent are their own sports, so you cannot cross-train because they're so specialized. But we call the epées the slowest. So, Tom, what weapons are you fencing, my friend?
Same as me.
I have a question, Coach. You talked about this is the only place you would want to coach. Lots of other schools have teams, they have individuals. What makes the difference that you want to coach here?
It's how athletics are embedded in canvas of university, the student life, and also how much support is university provides for athletes who are literally the superhuman beings, and everyone else after classes goes back to dorms, they can take a naps and they can do the video games. these kids have to come and work 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours nonstop. So that support, it's immense. And also, Notre Dame is hard to describe. Either you love it or hate it, and I fell in love, and that's why I'm going to be here.
Hey, Coach, do the student managers still get to, at the end of the season, take a hack at the other teams?
About 5 years ago, we quit having the student managers. We have a director of operations now, and student managers are not involved in the daily operations for the team. Used to be, yes. They had a chance to fence at least one match, so it's a part of the history now. So.
I'm going to ask a question if that's okay. Can you tell me what the most important part of your training regimen is as a fencer?
I think everyone's going to have a different answer. Every athlete's going to have a different answer. For me, it's actually fencing because it's the time where you get to try different actions. We compete with each other, but in practice, you're able to try things that you're maybe not so comfortable with, things that you aren't the best at, and kind of move out of your comfort zone. I really like the idea of just like trying new things to get better. So just actually fencing, like sparring with partners, is my favorite part, and what I think is most important.
So I think we have time for one more question, and I'm going to take it. Gia, would you ever consider having like fan duels? You have your fans all show up, and you give them weapons, and they get to compete against each other.
Let's do it. We have like half a mile away from the gym, and let's do it right now.
Don't tempt me. Ladies and gentlemen, two-time national champion, coach, and phenomenal student athlete, Gia and Sabrina. Give it up for them.